We are back with another week of Seward Park, and recording with me this week is Soren, my teammate and twin brother, who won Seward Park last week. That's right? You won? Yep. And I had ridden hard for him last week, and going into this week, we discussed it, and he said he wanted to ride for me. We kind of weren't sure what form that was going to take, but what we had decided was that he was free to go for the preems. In fact, I wanted him to go for the preems to try and wear out some of the stronger guys in the field, and that after that point, in the last couple laps, I wanted him to sort of just make sure I was in a good position and try and give me a lead out into the hill for the last lap. So with the knowledge that Soren was going to be going for the preems, I didn't really have a huge plan for the first half of this race for myself. I kind of just decided on this first lap or two that I was going to sit on Scott's wheel, who's the rider right in front of me. And spoiler alert, you're going to be seeing a lot of Scott's back in this video. I did just kind of sit on his wheel for most of the race. I'm sure, Soren, you had a more exciting race than I did.
I was going to say,
most of the time.
This is the plan. You're looking at the plan. And there were a couple times where I came up next to you and asked if you were cool here, or if you wanted me to slot in front of you and pull you along. And Scott's a bigger guy than me.
Yeah, I was going to say, Scott's taller than you.
So.
Scott's strong, he's willing to pull, and more importantly, he's probably the tallest guy in the field out here. We did like 20 riders or something. Yeah. One thing that was kind of weird about this week is it was a really slow week of racing. I actually was looking at the Strava file today, and it was like a mile an hour on average slower than the last couple weeks have been, which is pretty significant. I mean, that's like, you know, a 5 or 6% difference in speed, and you can tell right here. I mean, if you look at my average heart rate for this whole activity, I think I spent a lot of time in the 150, 160 range. Just totally able to recover between laps, which is not necessarily usual in Seward Park, at least for me.
Yeah, there were some periods in the first half where we would all be sort of lined up horizontally, looking side to side, trying to ask the question if who's going to ride.
Yeah, that's how you know it's not a fast race. If it's strung out vertically, if it's strung out, you know, forward and back, it's fast. But if you are grouped up, it's not going too quick. Shout out to a couple riders here. The UCLA rider who you just saw on the right in the yellow jersey. So there's a couple riders that I was kind of pushing off of Scott's wheel a couple times throughout this race. I felt a little bad about. One was this UCLA rider who tried to take Scott's wheel from me a couple times. I was like, nuh-uh. And the other was my man Mark, who hasn't come into the frame yet so far in this video, but I'm sure will at some point. And I talked to him after the race, actually. I was like, hey man, sorry I was kind of pushing you around, but I wasn't giving up Scott's wheel for anybody. And he was like, oh, it's okay, I just sat on your wheel the whole race, which I thought was pretty funny. Oh, there's Mark in the blue t-shirt, can't miss him, not wearing a bike jersey. Classic Mark.
Mark, a rumored Taco Time recruit.
Alright. Yeah, that's fair. He has been asking me about it. Shout out also to... Oh, she's out of the frame now, but this Jean Johnson rider in the blue jersey. Oh, or yeah, she's at the front of the field, I think. I think her name is Aaliyah. I talked to her a bit after the race. She's super nice. She also attacked on like the second lap here, which I really appreciated because even by the second lap, I think everyone could tell, oh shit, it's really slow today. And she decided that she wanted to do some racing, which... it's fun.
That's why we're here.
Might as well. But Soren made sure to shut it, you know, keep them on a leash at least, if not shut it down completely for me. So I'm just sitting on Scott's wheel. That's going to be a lot of that in this video. Oh, that was not my best corner.
Yeah, how are you feeling at this point? Because like you are just sitting on, it's a slow start, you're getting up close to 170. Are you pretty chill at this point?
I was so chill at this point, dude. I was very happy under the Scott's wheel. I'm like, what, 5th wheel overall or something? That is just so exactly where I'd like to be for the entirety of the race. And I know that you're up in front of me. You're going to close down these attacks, so I don't really need to worry about, like, Andrew, this act rider on the outside, like, coming around And the rider in the black jersey in front of him also kind of trying to make an attack there. Like, I'm just not worrying about it. My heart rate's back down in the 150s. I'm just feeling pretty good. I don't know. Like, I felt like I had pretty good legs the whole day, honestly.
Other piece of context here that is probably important. I think it got up to almost 90 degrees.
It was 90 degrees and kind of humid.
And I don't know, I was trying to take a sip every lap, basically, at the bottom of the hill where it flattened out prior to climbing.
I'm gonna be honest. Even in the 5:30 Seward, which has like a third of the riders of the 6 p.m. race, I always just feel a little sketchy drinking water in Seward. It's just such a, like, you just have to keep your hands on the handlebars, you know? I definitely drank more water in this race than I normally do by a fair amount for a 5:30 Seward. But I did, with like 2 laps to go, I want to say, I downed the rest of my water bottle and chucked it to the side because I was like, yeah, it's just, it's more effort. I feel like it's sketchier putting your water bottle back in the bottle cage than taking it out. Maybe that's just me, but anyway, you saw actually right there the first hint of Mark thinking, oh, maybe I'll go take Scott's wheel. I didn't like say anything during the race. I just was like, you know, riding very defensively, like I was guarding a teammate's wheel or something, like sweeping for him, right? The other thing that I'll say that was interesting about this race that also happened last week and was definitely a hugely contributing factor to why this was such a slow week is both the preems came super late this week. They came with like 8 minutes and 4 minutes left or something, which usually they're definitely a little before that. Having the preems back to back like that with basically 1 lap between, and then I think there was maybe 1 lap after the second preem before 2 laps to go, is like really backloads the race. So that was the one sort of piece of nervousness that I had, was I was like, okay, my legs feel really good, I'm getting in really good recovery, but there's going to be a very brutal, like, 10 minutes at some point here, you know?
And we're not quite there yet, but gotta give a shout out to Scott. He authoritatively called when it was going to be. He was like, this will be the last one. But
it had to be, though.
I don't know.
I knew, no, that was with, like, 10 minutes to go, right? I mean, if it gets under 10 minutes and there has not been a preem, it has to be the next one. Like, there was a lap where I was sure it was going to be the preem, and it wasn't, and then I was like, okay, 100% chance it's the next one, and it was. Like, you just hit a point where otherwise you're literally doing the preems back to back. Like, he had 1 lap between the preems, and then, like I said, 1 lap between the second preem and the 2 laps to go, as far as I can remember. It might have been 2, but it was very, very quick. Yeah, honestly, again, as a result of having the preem so late, not a ton else went on for like the first half of the race. Shout out to this guy in the front in the white and black jersey. I think his name is Trevor. He's got a Taco Bell jersey. Fellow taco rider.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mark was like, you should eat Taco John's.
Taco Bell, Taco John's, Taco Time. Also, shout out to this Breakfast Club rider, Francis, I think, said that this was her first time finishing in the pack at the Seward 530. Good shit. That was me last year when I did Seward for the first time. I got dropped like halfway through, probably on the first preem lap, honestly, because I just was not, was not ready for the surge in speed. Get a little stronger and a little smarter about where to be every time. For instance, Scott's wheel.
This is like one of the least dynamic.
It's not interesting from my perspective. I'm so sorry.
Scott's watching. He's got a nice calf feature.
Good video for Scott.
Just leave me hanging. Say something. He's looking ripped.
Yeah.
Saw on his Strava he put in 55 miles this morning at like 5:30 a.m. Shout out to Scott.
That dude rides a lot.
He's stupid.
Sometimes I look at his Strava and I'm like, oh yeah, that's why he beats me at Seward most weeks.
He did 400 miles a week for like a couple months.
Yep. Crazy. That dude rides a lot of miles.
Mark rides all the way from Microsoft's campus to Seward Park. That much better.
Yeah, I think he commutes. I think he commutes to work most days. The other thing that I'll say about Mark is you'll notice that he's wearing a t-shirt and shorts. This was, as far as I can remember, the first Seward Park where he was wearing shorts and not like cuffed. Like what do you? I think just navy khakis, basically.
Almost capris.
Almost capris. Yeah, and I literally was like, oh, 90 degrees, that's your limit. That's when you switch to shorts. And he was like, yeah, it's too hot out for pants. And I was like, Mark, it was too hot out for pants last week when it was like 85. So funny. Someone get this man like clothes, and he's gonna start winning by 30 seconds.
So how do you recall how you're feeling at this point? Midway through everything going on, as far as you can tell. No one's really broken
Again,
away.
I feel
attacks,
like
no prees.
Yeah, I was kind of bored. We were like 10 minutes into the race. You know, it's boring to watch back right now. And I just wasn't pushing that hard. I mean, you know, my heart rate's hitting like 172 or something on the hill. But, like, I'm basically not having to do any power down here. And I'm not even doing that much power on the hill. Like, really the only times when I was super actively paying attention in the first half of the race is when another rider was clearly, like, sniffing around Scott's wheel. And that's kind of it. Oh yeah, you just
really backload that, huh?
Oh, you just said something to me. I think it was that you said like it's been really slow or something. I couldn't quite make that out, but I responded and said, you know, we're really backloading it, huh? Which, yeah.
Yeah, I was starting to get worried about that because there's some really strong guys here, and if no one's worn out, as much as I like your odds,
I agree.
It's a little unsettling if everyone's fresh.
I mean, the plan was to use you to wear out some of the guys, you know, and for me to conserve. And
Up until this point,
yeah,
mission failed, but we'll see what happens with the preems.
And this is the first preem lap. Okay. So I think you also had asked me at some point here if you could scoot in on Scott's wheel. And again, I knew you were going for the preem. It's the first preem, so I figured, you know, even if you and Scott, whoever's in front of Scott right now, get away, you know, you guys will probably sit up. I'm not super concerned about it. Not going to work super hard to bring it back. I think I actually do stick with Scott here, though.
Which is the
Yeah, it didn't take a ton of effort. This dude tries to send a flyer. It looked like his wheel skipped a little bit there. Smart of you to jump over to his wheel, have him just bring you to the front for free. I mean, I am doing 700 watts here. You know, this is that initial acceleration where people are like, am I going to go? Am I not? And I just figured easier to stay in the draft than not. And here's where the preem is going to pop off. I kind of didn't see this happen. It's actually even kind of hard to see in the video. I think you just lit it up on the hill.
Well, I thought everyone else, this guy in the green that went around me previously, I thought he was going to send it.
Yeah, look at that. Look, I mean, you've got like a 5-second gap in 5 seconds. How the hell did that happen? Like, so you told me, I didn't hear this, but you told me after the race that Scott said to you, like, I'm not going to chase you.
He was like, I won't contest this first one. So I felt confident that he wasn't racing, but that other guy made that big lead out. I didn't know.
He did, but I think he kind of cooked himself, you know.
And it looked like he cooked himself, and so I figured, beer money, might as well go for the cream.
Hell yeah, dude. And it looks like maybe Andrew here in the ACT jersey looks like he had maybe been thinking about going for the cream, but part of the advantage there is anyone who's trying to get to you is like fourth wheel going into like halfway up the hill, their fourth wheel. Yeah, I actually at this point I kind of was thinking you could have just kept going. Like you had such a big it wasn't the goal, it wasn't the plan, and you know probably wouldn't have been successful, but it was just such a weirdly big gap so quick. Like I was stoked. but I also you just teleported, man.
Yeah, I was surprised. I went back after the break.
I think part of it is, really, you think about, we're like a third of the way up the hill. It's you, and then it's Scott, who had said to you he wasn't going to contest it, and then me, and then someone would have to have done a little effort, like, 20 feet up the hill to even get to your wheel at that point.
So pros and cons of that particular lap. Pros, as I mentioned, some beer money. Cons, nobody really went for it. So
yeah, didn't really tire anyone out.
Yeah, when you think about the overall strategic objective here of wearing the field out to benefit your final lead out,
yeah,
didn't really achieve anything.
It's also kind of worth mentioning that part of what the plan was, what we were hedging our bets on here, is you won last week. You also, came in second or third the week before.
I'm good.
So we're thinking, okay, you are going to be marked. There's going to be riders who are watching for you to attack, probably on the preems and on the final laps. So we were kind of thinking, especially on the final lap, we could use you as a little bit of a smoke screen. People would not necessarily think that you were going to be leading me out. But it's a very good point that, $20 is $20, a season point's a season point, and that was probably the least contested preem I've seen at Seward this year. That was just crazy. But yeah, we didn't tire anybody out. So it definitely seemed maybe a little bit like Scott was onto us there. Kind of unlike him not to go for a preem. But he's also locked down the season overall, so maybe he's just thinking about his result for the night. So you can see on the clock there as we went by, there's 4 minutes left. So again, this is the one. No, that was a lap between the preems. So maybe there was 2 laps between the preems then. But then the last preem is going to be with something like 2 minutes to go. I mean, it's about a 2-minute lap. And so I was actually thinking at the time, I think it ended up not being this way, but I was thinking, wait, are we going to have the second preem and then immediately go into 2 laps to go? I think what happened is there was the second preem, and then we went through the clock with 10 seconds left on it, and so he didn't call 2 laps to go yet. But again, super backloaded for this race.
Yeah, I can't remember if that happened in the 3-4 race or the 4-5. That definitely happened in one of them.
I'm pretty sure it was this one, but I could be wrong.
I think it also happened in the 3-4. Me and these 2 found riders who went around.
I think you guys thought it was that.
There were 4 seconds on the clock, which means it's not 2 laps to go, it's 3 laps to go.
It's brutal, dude. That's so demoralizing.
Racing for
Yeah. Shout out to this dude also in the what is it? Black helmet, dark blue jersey, or dark blue helmet, black jersey. He spent kind of a lot of time on the front this week. I think he was maybe trying to send a flyer between the preems, which is certainly a good time to do it. And Mark also actually kind of puts in an effort here. I think he maybe thinks that guy's going to get away and maybe is trying to break away with him, which is certainly not a bad idea. I mean, we basically have guaranteed there's going to be the second preem this next lap. So if you could get a little, separation here at the top of the hill going into that lap, easier to get that preem. But Mark ends up falling back anyway, so kind of a lot of effort on that for not any wheels. But this rider's still on the front. And there you go, second preem. Yeah, 2 minutes, 4 seconds on the clock. So, maybe if it weren't a pre-lap, if it was one of those really slow laps at the beginning of the race, that would have been, 1 lap. But I'm pretty sure it was not. That's it. This has got to be a sketchy place to be passed. I think that dude was warming up for the 6 p.m. minutes, so let's just
If I fell off the back, I got
Yes, the one thing that I'll say is the outside becomes the inside at the top of the false flag, which is a little sketchy. So here you are going for the second preem. You are unfortunately kind of in the wind here.
But I didn't. Yeah, I was not pedaling because I didn't want to be out entirely in front. So this is what I was hoping about.
Yeah, so I actually think right there I maybe offered you Scott's wheel and then saw Andrew and Trevor attacking on the outside, and you ended up just being able to get in his draft, which is, I mean, ideal. You know, it's what you want is to have someone lead you into the hill. So again here, this is actually kind of what I expected to happen on the first preem, which is I'm just not hammering this hill, like literally at all. I'm totally fine with having this amount of separation because I know if this group tries to stay away, you're just going to sit up on the back of the group and just either let them carry you to the finish or get the group back.
That was perfect.
You can't hear the audio, but I just went in the camera because I saw you breaking away from them to take that preem. So yeah, I mean, Andrew just pulled you to the base of the hill, pulled you up that hill
to the very top,
and you were just fresh on the for the sprint there. Like honestly, these obviously you had really good legs today, but those were two pretty easy preems, it seemed like. And I will also say,
the first one.
yeah, for sure. I mean, it was contested. I will say there was under 10 seconds left on the clock there. There was like 8 seconds, so. Not actually sure why it came out of Trevor's draft there. I think what's happening is I'm trying to make sure that I can either get Scott's wheel or your wheel. Yep, that's 100% what was happening.
But if you could see what's happening to me there, I was trying to decide what to do because
if you should attack?
No. Oh. So the preems are done, so I no longer have a license to go off in front. Forget about trying to ride for you, which was the goal in preems. But on the other hand, this guy that was ahead of me was like really pounding it there for a minute. I didn't know if he was.
You wanted to keep him marked.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure, so I was looking back.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, with 3 laps to go, and that's not that much of an advantage. It would have been hard for him to stay away.
Yeah. And I'm telling you to come to me. So
I did,
tap
yeah.
on my butt, but you're like, I've got a better wheel still, so.
Oh, this was a little sketchy. I hate riding on the right side of this fucking hill, dude. But I think what happened there was Scott saw that there was this rider that was lapped, and just knew that was going to be messy. So I'm actually kind of squeezed off of Scott's wheel here, but I'm just going to maintain this position because I know the road's going to come back around, and so I'll just be able to be on his wheel again. And worst case scenario, just go find you somewhere behind me.
And this is a really interesting part of the course, just as an observation, especially in the bigger race, the 61.
In the bigger race, this is the best place on the course to pass.
I was going to say that.
Yes,
like, it is.
100%.
But it's conflicting because if you can do it right away, great. If you're doing it the last minute here...
Oh, it's super sketchy going into the turn.
Yeah, and you can pretty much always get around it because if you're on the inside of someone, they're not going to hit you, but you've crowded them out from that hairpin turn.
And they might hit you. I mean...
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, a lot of people are going around the outside there because people sit up after the hill and you just need to get a clear line from that turn.
The other reason that I'd say it's a little bit of a trade-off there is you're kind of choosing between, okay, do I want to pass here, or do I want to get a little breather before you maybe have to sprint out of the corner for a second?
Yeah, and it just depends what's ahead, because again, in the 6 p.m. race,
right,
it's such a big move.
It's so much more important.
It's about making up the hills and stuff. Yeah.
Man, dude, in the 6 p.m. race, it's so much easier if you're in like the first 10 wheels, because you can just take so much of a better line through that corner, as opposed to if you're tail gunning and you just are in the in the main pack, you just have to sprint out of it. It's so much harder to take a good line. So right here, you're pulling up next to me, I think. I'm pretty sure this is you on the very right. And I just gestured to you to attack, and you said something like right now, and I said yeah, because this is we haven't been able to tire the big guns out on the preems. I want to do it right now. This is the move. I know it's coming, so I can just sit in the wheel here.
Yep. So yeah, I went pretty hard. I don't know. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Like, did this achieve what you had wanted? Did you want me to fully empty the tank and try to drop everyone?
Yes, I wanted you to fully empty the tank. I wanted you to just hammer it until the base of the hill on the last lap. But what you did ended up working out really well, which is you still pushed. You were pushing pretty hard up here, right? You sat up after the turn.
Yeah, I wasn't even really. Yeah.
Nah, you don't actually look like it.
I was working hard at the top, but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, am I I'm still supposed to pull you into the finish as best I can. So, again, just a point of confidence. It was a pretty savvy suggestion. I wasn't expecting from you, but like since everyone's going so slowly,
it was a game day decision for sure. You know, I kind of was thinking, okay, I'm in Scott's wheel. He has not burned a lot of energy in this race, so he's gonna. If I'm able to stick to his wheel, he'll be my lead out. So how can I use you? And this was my idea: is just burn, as many people off as possible, so it's as reduced a group as possible. So here, coming up here, the Taco Bell rider here, Trevor, actually makes a really clever move. He makes up a couple wheels here, and you sit up right there. That's really important. I actually kind of have to do a little effort there just to get around the outside. And Trevor just keeps pushing it down here. I mean, this is, this move was savvy from him, but normally this is a pretty bad spot to be in, leading the group into the hill here.
Yeah, you can see me looking back like,
what the hell do you want me to do? Yeah. It's hard to communicate in the race, I'm doing 400 watts. So
that was the situation. Like, Scott expected me to follow him. Scott doesn't want me
he's
to
looking out for you.
And so I sit up, and by that time, a decent gap is formed, and I can't wait to see that.
And in retrospect, I could have hit this hill harder. I was thinking I want to conserve as much energy as possible, because normally I'm kind of cooked at the top of the hill on the last lap, but I just wanted to stay as close to Scott as possible, and I actually lose his wheel a little bit and just screw myself over, especially seeing that rider actually just kind of freak me out. My heart rate's almost 190. That's an excuse, but... and then I'm just looking over my shoulder. I'm like, okay, I'm in third. I'm going to get third at this point.
You could have caught him right here, dude.
I probably could have. I should have switched to a lower gear and up my cadence. In retrospect, there's all sorts of things I could have done better. But happy with third. You got both creams. Really good week.